This first video is going to look at factoring using decomposition. So we're going to start with a trinomial that looks like this: 6x squared minus 5x minus 21. So decomposition means that we're going to first begin by we're going to look at the coefficient of x squared and the constant term, negative 21. And we're going to move over here onto the side, and we're going to look for two numbers that multiply to be 6 times negative 21, which is negative 126. So negative 126. And we want then those same two numbers to add together to be that negative 5. So we want these same two numbers to add up to be negative 5. So take a minute and think about what these two numbers are going to be. Two numbers that multiply together to be negative 126 and add together to be negative 5. Well, it turns out that if you multiply 9 times 14, you get 126. So let's do negative 14 times 9, which will give us 126, and it also gives us negative 5 when we add the two together. Now, it might seem like I came up with those really quickly, but I paused the video, went over and tried some numbers, divided 126 by 9, and then came up with 14 and saw the connection there. So there is a little bit of trial and error in trying to come up with these two special numbers, let's say, that we're looking for. So with decomposition, the next step is then to take our middle term of negative 5 and break it up into our two numbers that we found, right? Negative 14 and 9. So let's do that. So we're keeping 6x squared as is, and then instead of negative 5, we're going to write minus 14x plus 9x minus 21. Now, it doesn't really matter what order you put the 14 and the 9. We could have written positive 9x minus 14x, but it is important that the 14 has the negative, because that's the only way you're actually going to get negative 5 when you add the two together. So our next step from here is to take two groups of terms. So we're going to look at our first group, which is 6x squared and negative 14x, and we're going to try and see if we can factor out a greatest common factor between these. And hopefully you're thinking to yourself, 2x. Okay? And if we factor out 2x from these two terms, we're left with 3x minus 7. When we look at the second group, we can see that we can factor out a GCF of 3. And if we do that, so let's try that. So plus 3 into, and that would leave us with 3x minus 7. Now, it is not a coincidence that this looks like this. In fact, that's exactly what we want. Because once we see that these two terms are the same, we can take them out as a common factor. So that would mean that we have 3x minus 7. And then what we're left with here is 2x plus 3 in our second bracket. 2x plus 3. So that's the end of the decomposition example, and you can try a few and then check out a different station with guess and check and some of the special products.